Sophie with Witchy Wheelin'. Oh my God, it's been so long. I'm gonna try to shorten this up too this time, just because knowing that my butt is now officially diagnosed as autistic. I'm an ADHD. Hey guys, where are my peeps at? I tend to monologue. Anyway, wanted to talk to you today while I'm out on my roll that inner child is really important. And I'm discovering that right now too. So if you are, hey, woo, where's my other peeps at? Now, I say that because that inner child that people talk about sounds crazy. Maybe you could even roll your eyes at it just because it's gotten cliche to hear. It is important because let's put it this way. It's the human you were. Let's take child out. It's the human you were before cultural conditioning got a hold of you, before parents got a hold of you, before generational trauma transferred to you. Because guess what? In all actuality, we all have those issues. That's the truth. We all have them. It's part of our growth, really. And it's also part of this new leveling up that hopefully everyone really can do, that awakening process. Now, in order to get there, you have to be able to go find that person before the trauma happened. Man, that can be a hard one depending on when it started. Because, like for me personally, I got to find that little girl that was like 3. Man, but it's okay because that was the hardships that I was meant to go on to become who I am. And sometimes, man, those hardships are really hard for some of us. You know, I went through years of sexual abuse that I mostly hid from my parents out of embarrassment and not knowing how to respond. And now understanding with my late diagnosis of autism, last year was ADHD, that also my brain processing is different. So being so young when stuff like that was going on, that's confusing. You don't know what's right and wrong yet, but you know it's wrong, but not quite. It's really weird to explain. And there's other people who, man, they've been born into crazy cults, human trafficking, homelessness, you know, some pretty severe stuff that people have been just straight up born into. And that's some really tough stuff. Although I'm here to tell you guys, the ones that are under extreme circumstances that have a lot of healing to go through, my heart goes out to you. I'm proud of you for doing it because trauma's tough on any sort of level. And then there are things that are extreme that happen, you know, like what about the people that escaped a serial killer? Oh my God, right? So this is why I'm saying you never know what'll come up in your life, but in order to beat, I guess you could say, all of this, you've got to find that inner child before the trauma happened. You got to find that human being, and usually it is the child at a very young age, before things got crazy, before you started understanding shame, before you started understanding major guilt, you know, before you started understanding judging people and being mean. Let's just throw it out there. So, you know, those that have prejudices of any sort of type, you know, that and just lump people together, okay, that's just mean. It's wrong. Well, those things are taught though. They don't come innately. They're taught. So there again, that's why it's important. And people talk about finding your inner child. A child does not know that being prejudiced of any sort of type is something that goes on. So there's a lot of things that get taught when it comes to feelings and responses socially. We've got to break them. So that actually rounds me out. This is why I was so happy when I rediscovered roller skating for myself. I started when I was like 5. That was the only pair of skates that were mine. They were, I remember, you know, little tennis shoe styles. And I actually taught myself at such a young age how to roller skate in my basement. And it was unfinished, so we had this beautiful concrete for me to practice on. And I loved it. And then when I finally was able to go to the rink, I actually rented skates from that point forward. So I never had my own when my feet were actually done growing. And it didn't really matter. And I had fun and I was a total rink rat. Obviously I'm outside. It's cheap, it's free, just go somewhere, right? But it brings me back though to those young years before I cared, before I was embarrassed, before I had to doubt life. And I need that. That's that inner child. And what's great about this, like I've said in other videos, is that this type of a outreach for myself is also a physical improvement. Like I've said before, roller skating will wake up muscles you forgot you had, which is great. And then there's also something to look forward to and get better to. Man, that makes me excited to think that I've got goals like that. That's neat. But it's like when you're a kid. Because why? It's exciting. It revs that happiness up in you, that gets you going, that motivation, that little bit of daredevil that might be in you. Because why? Just because we've grown older, our age number has gotten higher, doesn't mean that we should negate what makes us truly happy. It doesn't mean that we need to lose the fun. It doesn't mean that we need to carry our traumas and relive our traumas that limit our life like that every day. We don't. We need to do the hard work and heal them. That's what we need to do. We need to heal those traumas. We need to find that inner child before the world got a hold of us and told us that we were wrong, we were bad, that we should be ashamed and all this stuff. Now, there's one caveat that I would like to talk about that I think has gotten misconstrued from some of the stuff that I've observed. And that is negate becoming straight up selfish. Now, there is a difference between going back to that inner child, finding your self-love, focusing on yourself, filling and refilling your cup as you need to. All that stuff is beautifully important. It's needed, it's required, especially because you cannot give to others unless you give to yourself first, because you won't even have the energy. And for us neurodivergents of any kind, that is so important to recognize for ourselves, because we give so much of our energy out just to live amongst a neurotypical world. It's a lot for us. We must recharge regularly because a lot of us do like to give. Now, I do see people though that get so bad that they become stuck, and then it becomes selfishness. Then it becomes you're teetering on egoism and narcissism. And we don't want to do that, because the point is to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, but we're taking care of ourselves so that way we can in turn love others, and we can healthily give back to others as well, because human beings are social creatures, even amongst us neurodivergents. You can't get away from being a socialized species. That's built into who we are. It's animal instincts, right? Human beings have social needs like many other types of animal species on this earth. You know, we have to honor that as well. So please do not obsess over this to the point that you become extremely selfish, that you become egotistical or narcissistic. You don't want to do that, okay? But you do want to take care of yourself. You do want to take time for yourself. So things that could maybe enlighten the balance is recognize if you are triggered, if things upset you, but you need to understand why you're being triggered, okay? So I have to watch this a lot now for myself. I need to understand if it's somebody or an event or something that's triggering me. Is it based on my trauma, or is it based on my autism and ADHD? This is a new level for me to learn. And I'm realizing that I actually still have a lot of triggers based on my brain processing and versus expectations. For many out there, because the neurodivergent world, though, is a lot larger because of so many undiagnosed people because of how this culture works, it is still a small group of people compared to the vast majority. Just make sure that you're identifying what's going on within yourself and within your energy in order to tackle it appropriately. To understand that if the trigger is coming from some sort of a trauma that needs to be healed, focus on that. Make sure you carve time out for that. Just like you would carve time out for work, just like you would carve time out to clean the kitchen, to help your kids with their homework, to spend time with your kids or your husband or your spouse or your partner, friends. You carve time and make time for all this stuff. You need to make time for you too. You need to find that child that loved doing the fun things that you did, to give yourself some genuine relief, to give yourself some happiness, and to find who you are. Because you just might be like me out there, where you allowed yourself to be inundated with responsibilities because that was the adult thing to do. That was the right thing to do. And especially, yes, I hate to say it, but even for us women, we're still pigeonholed into doing roles and basically now doing everything, because not only are we expected to maintain the traditional womanly responsibilities of the household, we now also have to work. And it's just been like that. We're getting louder about it, we're getting better, trying to change a narrative, but it's also hard because of this human zoo of economy that we've created. And when it comes to barely being able to survive anymore as the typical middle class person, that makes that kind of stuff very hard. But negating that portion of it, we can discuss that on a different video. Negating that portion, you need to take care of you. I want you to think about something from way back before you started feeling ashamed. Just start there. Think about something that made you happy, that made you feel free. And I'm talking truly free, where you forgot about the world around you. You forgot about the people around you, even maybe. And you were living in your moment. In that moment, that people tell me it was riding full speed on the back of a horse outside. For me, it's roller skating and getting up to high speeds, and I feel safe doing it. And I can just feel the wind rushing through my hair and the speed coming from my body. My God, the freedom, right? You know, that, or maybe it was that you were just swinging at a park and you could just feel the weightlessness when you got to the top part of the swing and you had to come back down. Think of those moments and remember what that felt like. Remember your happiness. Remember living in that moment. I want you to remember all of that. And I want you to sit with it. Let it sink in. I want you then to write down what it was. What were you doing? What exactly was that? I just found a hidden Mickey on the wall. I just had to say that right now. I'm so excited. Random. But write it down. And I want you to really write out, as specific as you can, how you felt. Describe it all in ridiculous detail, unnecessary detail. Write it down. I don't care if, even in that moment when you're writing it down, if you think you sound stupid or you don't know what to say or blah blah blah, who cares? You don't have to show a damn person what you're writing, so who cares? Heck, there's been times when I've tried to run this exercise that I've sat there and put down, I literally don't know what to say. I'll write that down and I'll just keep writing stuff like that until the words come to me, because that helps just to kind of get your body flowing, get your mind in the mode of description. And then do this more than once, or find more than one memory if you have one. Shoot, maybe you were hang gliding somewhere, or maybe you were on a boat enjoying the weather, or just sitting on the beach, or on a little hike, or maybe you just had this beautiful moment, a peaceful moment sitting in a park. Who cares? It doesn't matter how grandiose or how simple it was. The only thing that matters is that you felt free and happy and weightless. Okay? That's the focus. Anyway, do that. See how you feel. Keep practicing it and see what comes up in your body, in your emotions, in your mind. Do you want to try to do that again? Experience that again? Is there something new you want to do? Would this give you the bravery to go do it? I mean, come on. I'm pushing 39 years old now. I'm out here rolling around like a freaking teenager. I'm happy about it. And do you know what's even better about that? Is that when I go out and I'm at a recreational park rolling around, there's people, just a couple of people, nothing crazy, who always comment though about how fun this looks. They remember. I had one lady stop me just so she could reminisce about roller skating back in the 60s. That was her teenage years. And how much fun she had and bringing those memories up. And that's what I want you to remember. You see these crazy skates rolling, man. This is good. Remember, okay? Go write it down. That's your homework. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. This has ended up being a very long video anyway, and I will also cut it down for social media. But I love you all very much. I'm Sophie. This is Witchy Wheelin'. I hope to see you soon.